want to say power to the people.
Power to the people.
I want to say free the land.
Free the land.
And I want to say, you who have come here, you know we got a lot of faith in you, because there's a lot of young faces. I think that maybe the majority of folks in here is young folks. And you know, we got so much faith in you, you know. And that's those of us who have been through this for a long time. I mean, in this room, we got, you know, folks who's very intergenerational. I just met Michael Simmons. You know, you got Pam Africa in here. You know, you got Bilal Sunni Ali in here. You know, you got other folks in here that we have history. We didn't necessarily have it like this back then, because I think we was really angry at the older generations. But you got us now. You know, you have us. And we're facing something that is tremendously horrible, but we can bring it to an end. You know, that's power to the people, power through the people. That's through us. So just as much as I can, if we deal with the questions that was put forward to kind of guide us, we want to say things is like, what do we want to share with you as sort of like lessons from our experiences, so that you can carry this thing on with us. Connect Green out of the picture. But this is young folks' struggle, you know, this future is yours. You know, what would it be? So I'm very clear where I come from, and I always want people to be very clear. Not only out of the Black Panther Party, but also a soldier in the Black Liberation Army. I want people to be very clear about that. At UPenn, where we had a panel, I mean, I want that clear that you're talking to an outlaw. You ain't talking to somebody that's got any faith in this system. So if you can accept me on that and what comes out of my mouth, then right on. You know, no faith in this system. This is that system that came into being on the damn near total extermination of indigenous nations. The enslavement of millions of Africans and millions who died in the process. Bones and spirits are still floating around in the ocean and under this earth, along with indigenous folks. We don't forget. We cannot forget, because the boot is still on the neck. You know, what do I want people to understand who still want to carry this on? Is that this system is diabolical, evil. You cannot change it. You cannot tweak it. You cannot reform it. It's been doing this for 400 years. It does it to perfection. It doesn't do things in error. You know, there's no such thing as, you know, like with the Zimmerman case down in Florida, that, you know, oh, now we got to build unities together and make the system reform. You don't reform a monster. You don't reform a monster. Like George Jackson say, you got to kill the monster. You may not like to hear that. But those on the bottom understand more than anybody what this monster does. What it does. Sometimes people don't want to hear it. But when it's killing you and your people and you have to do something, you do it. You don't rationalize it. You don't make all kind of intellectual arguments. You do. So in joining the Black Panther Party, but even before that, just real brief, the Black Power movement was what inspired many folks from my age group to like, we want to be a part of the Black Power movement and eventually going into the ranks of the Black Panther Party. Because we recognize that American racism, white supremacy, capitalism was not going to change. Why should it? It profits off of us. It's everything it does is off of us. Why should it stop that? If we're going to be free, in Malcolm's words, it has to be by any means necessary. It has to. We're dying. We're suffering. So joining the ranks of an organization sometimes changes your life. The first event that changed my life was the '67 rebellions in Plainfield, New Jersey. Small town, 40,000 people. But when them brothers and sisters got to the gun manufacturing building outside of town and brought back M1, crates of M1s, and actually ran the police out, I witnessed a 13-year-old liberated territory for my own eyes right before me. Black people who were formerly niggers. Niggas don't do shit, can't do shit, will never get together, and it all exploded.
Yes.
and 1,000 pieces to the ground, and a new people were being born who began to look at each other with different eyes. Black power also meant, I love who I am. I love Africa. I want to now bond with my brothers and sisters, and let's deal with this oppression. So here comes the Black Panther Party, right? They're doing programs, but they're armed. They say they have a right to armed self-defense. It wasn't new. It wasn't new. I don't care how far you go back to them slave ships. If they had to use them chains as weapons, they used them. If they had to use that glass from that glass jar and grind that glass up into the master's food, they used it. It fought oppression. But when the Panther Party came and said, we can fight intelligently, even if it has to be with guerrilla warfare, to support us and the programs and the organizing that we're doing above ground. Why would a 16, 17-year-old put their lives in this kind of space? Because I understood that we needed to be free. I was no different from a Palestinian child the same age. I was no different from a South African child the same age. I was no different from Jesus at 13. You understand, and you do. What would I want you to take from that? When you understand what's going on, develop the courage to do from what you understand. It's all right to say initially, I am afraid. This monster will kill me, wipe me off the planet. But I still got to do for myself and my people in the world, and whoever's oppressed. We know in the Panther Party that there was folks struggling all around the world, Asia, Africa, Latin America. We know that right in indigenous reservations they were fighting. We knew in Puerto Rico they were fighting. We knew in New Mexico, Texas, and others that Chicanos was fighting. We knew that even poor whites in the Appalachian Mountains was fighting. People was fighting the war. Something seemed different. But to be willing to step into something you don't know quite all the answers or where it's going to lead, but you got a sense it's going to take you to a better place to fight and possibly free, take it. It's like jumping into that pool for the first time. You're learning to swim. You're maybe a little nervous. Maybe a friend comes and just knocks you in. And then you realize it wasn't that scary. You know, you can swim. You learn. You went through the maneuvers and the trainings, you know. But to know that you can win, you can win. At a certain point, Black Panther Party became very effective. Certain study in, I think, 1969, some of the major newspapers did 5 major cities. 70% of they said that the black community supported the Black Panther Party. J. Edgar Hoover and others also said the public enemy #1. Saturday night specials and whatever else we had, shotguns, was not what terrified them. Though they definitely didn't want niggas with guns, right? But J. Edgar Hoover said it was the programs. It was the breakfast programs and the others, because it was giving us a way to create a space, a liberated territory in a sense, temporary, enough to bring black people together to say, you know, we can do this ourselves. If they're not going to feed our children, we'll do it. They're not going to educate our children, we will do it. All those things. And then to say, and we'll defend it. And you're not going to just keep shooting us down in the street. From the early stages, the Black Panther Party was developing a black underground that became known as the Black Liberation Army. What I want you to take from that is that you cannot be free with just your mind trapped within legalities or thinking that these people are some point, somehow, going to change. Those in power are going to, like, miraculously create this different world for you. They're going to kill you.
That's right.
They killed the Prince of Peace. They won't kill you, or they will ruin your life. They will got all other ways. But we had that in our minds. We trained ourselves. We based certain things off of the revolutionary, the catechism of the revolutionary, that said the revolutionary is a doomed man. He said doomed man. Today he was sexist when he said it was okay. Right? When we accepted that, we could like free ourselves in a certain way that said, well, we ain't got to be focusing on they're going to kill us and oh, we're scared they're going to do it. Accepting death now meant I am free to live.
Yes.
To do whatever I got to do because I ain't going to be worrying about it no more. So what happened was that people kept thinking and kept putting thinking into practice. UEP, whether it's UEP, Newton and them, and there was others. It wasn't just the Black Panther Party. There was folks focused on the land. In 1968, the church in Detroit. The birth of the concept of Republic of Africa putting into action. Same concept, same thinking that we're tired, we've thought about it, we've worked it out, we're going to take a chance. We ain't got time to debate it with other people, we got to move, they're killing us. Out of them struggles, whether you was doing community work or underground, the system is going to be coming after you. You could be working a free health clinic. They're coming after you. We know about that Dr. Matula Shakur and them did. It was free health clinics that was dealing with helping drug addicts. No, you don't pull people out of this system. This system works for them. They're not going to let it happen. What do I want you to get from that? Be clear about what you are fighting for. Be clear. When joining the ranks of the Black Liberation Army, the first task that we was assigned was to free political prisoners who happened to be in the Manhattan House of Detention. Noah, Cisco, Shasha Brown, Gabe, and I forget who else. They gave us a plan. The first one didn't work. The second plan is we're going to do something bold. They're on trial every day, and we know that whatever happens in the New York one, they got to face capital murder in California where they're facing the death penalty. Our assignment is to get them before they get back to be taken back to California. We knew that we had to get them out of the visiting room. Every day they're on trial, but they let us visit. I want you to get something from this, right? You take food, give it to the guards, they look through it, pass it back, and eventually the political prisoners get it. Except on this one day, we watched the patterns, we came in with the nice conversations, all of that. But on this day, they didn't open up the bags. When we opened it up, we came out with weapons. We came out with an acetylene torch. We proceeded to lock them up in the bathrooms, and I'm always happy to say this, to the toilets. To the toilets, because that's the shitty work that they do. We proceed to the second floor. Metal wall, glass windows, telephone. We got to cut through this metal wall. I tell a story. Statute of limitations ran out. They can't do that. But for you to know, it didn't work. But I'm the one cutting that. If I was a professional, it would have been done zip, zip, zip out. But I had to kind of train myself at the last minute because the person who was supposed to do it couldn't do it. Whatever. 2 inches to go, 2, 3 inches to go. The oxygen tank runs out. We can't get it. We can't kick it out. One of the sisters wanted to shoot it out, and shoot it out, it would alert everybody. The political prisoners on the other side had already taken care of the guards and everything back there. The other visitors was just New York typical, right? They see me cutting this thing, or they see me all the guns out, they ain't doing nothing else but acting like they visited. And I'm sure that if it had been successful, them other prisoners would have been coming with us. We might have had some more in the ranks unexpectedly, but it didn't work. It was hard, right? The hard part was having to turn to Noah and the rest of them and saying, yo man, we gotta go. Out to the people. We out of here. Right? And it would have been that easy. What I want you to get from that is that the Manhattan House of Detention is lower Manhattan. There's the federal buildings down there, the state buildings. It is nothing but concrete, steel, and police. Their arrogance of power would never allow them to think that some niggas was going to walk up there with guns to free their freedom fighters. That was our advantage, but we had to be daring enough, and I will say crazy enough, to do it. You know, Harriet Tubman had to be crazy enough to do it. You cannot keep thinking about, oh, I might get killed, I might die, I might this, I might that. It is a time to act. What do I want you to get from that? Act. If you have to prepare to act, then prepare. If you have to say, oh, I'm scared, then that's all right too. Because I can tell you now that anytime we did something generally underground, I was scared. But when I looked at my comrades, you know, they was, at least they looked confident to me. It helped my confidence. So whether it was a bank expropriation or whatever, you walk in there and you develop the confidence you need to do it. Even if you're scared, you know it has to be done. And it don't always have to be the grand actions. It could be knocking on your next door neighbor's door, you know, or your co-workers, you know, and starting that kind of conversation that helps move them from a space of indifference or apathy or fear to one of the courage to begin to take back their lives. That's what was important about the Black Panther Party for me. And that was important when you see these other actions that started to happen. And not only in the liberation of black people, but in other people. When them bombings of the Weather Underground started happening, that's like, yeah, right on. When the liberation struggles in Africa and Asia then started to gain ground and actually win, it's like, right on. We can do this. We are not alone. Get from that you are not alone. You are not alone. Even if it feels isolated, you're actually not. Even at this moment. So the David Gilbert, the brother in California, Yogi is getting ready to go up for parole. Others have been denied parole. They at least need to know that you're working to make this happen. What those who from the Jericho movement and others want to know is where you put the political prisoners on the top of your agenda, will you stop moving as if they are not important? They're like the people under the stairs, or they're like the ghost voices, you know, like you really don't want to face that because you might find out something that you don't want to know about yourself, that you're not doing enough, you're not being realistic or truthful enough, and there's more demanded of you. But if we're going to win, we have got to face the things we fear. Imam Jamil Al-Amin is in one of these crazy federal places, man. And if you just knew how much he meant to us back then, he'd be on the top of your agenda. On the top, you know. So I asked you, like, David's book is like, I just finally touched it for the first time yesterday, skimming through it. I see a certain honesty in his book that I have not seen in a lot of others. That talks about things that went wrong and things that we should hold up because they went well. But the things that went wrong are important so that you don't make the same mistakes. But he's also very clear is that if we can continue to struggle, we can win. If we learned anything in the Panther Party was that we can win. If you talk like you couldn't, and I'm shutting up, you'd have to get down and do some push-ups or you'd be running around that block. Conviction that we can win and have a vision of that is so important. Know that we are with you 100%. We want our political prisoners out. They are like the heart and soul. Yuri Kochiyama says that often. They are like the heart and soul of our struggle. And you got to look at your heart and soul as being locked up in these different, you know, mad places of confinement. And you want it back. Put them on the list. Put them on the list. Get rid of your faith in any area of this system doing what you think it's supposed to do. Think about how to create something new as we struggle to put something blade-like in the throat of this monster so that we can live. I know that's longer than 10 minutes, but please get from that.